How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video here on Brass Bangin'. It's a very hot day out here. Been sweating like crazy, but I wanted to talk today about this right here. This is the Holosun 407K. I want to talk today about why I chose this optic specifically for my Glock 43X and why I think you should do the same for your subcompact pistol that you have. Stick around for the video. Let's get started. So as many of you know from my other videos, I am a huge fan of the Glock 43X, and I think it is a great option for concealed carrying. It fits the hand well because it has the full length grip of the Glock 19, and it does everything very well, and maybe not quite to the extent that the Glock 19 or 17, like a full-size duty gun, would be able to do, but it shoots very well for the size. And I absolutely love it. And when it came time to buy an optic for this gun, I kind of already had a Holosun in the back of my mind because I've used some of their optics on other guns that I've had, absolutely love them, had amazing experiences with them. They tend to be a little bit cheaper than some of the competition, but offer a lot of value and a lot of features, and they're really one of the only brands that are actually pushing the envelope for cutting edge technology in these optics. A lot of the other brands like Trijicon, they came out with the RMR, but then they've kind of just sat on their butts. They made a Type 2 RMR, but they're not really coming out with new features and new options that are keeping up with the times, and it's sort of starting to fall behind. And enter the Holosun K lineup. This is their line of optics for the subcompact pistols, the Glock 43, 43X. If you're with SIG, the SIG P365, 365XL. Smith & Wesson has the M&P Shield and the Shield Plus. We're talking about that market of pistols. These optics are designed to fit for those kinds of guns. They're a little bit smaller than your typical pistol red dot sight, but they are made to fit perfectly on those smaller guns. Holosun has the 407K and the 507K in that lineup, and they both offer a ton of features. They both are going to have this side removable battery tray so that you can remove the battery, change it, and put a new one back in without having to take the entire optic off and re-zeroing the gun. That's a big feature. They both are going to come in the red or the green reticle. They both feature about 50,000 hours of battery life, which is just absolutely amazing. And they both are going to have Holosun's Shake Awake feature that turns the optic off when it has not been moved or used in a while. So if it's sitting in a safe or somewhere else where you're not using it, it turns the optic off to save the battery. But then say it's sitting on your bedside table at night, it's turned off because it hasn't been touched. As soon as you grab it, it immediately turns back on. So it's a really effective feature that works well and helps save you battery life. Now, what are the differences between the 407K and the 507K? Besides the price, the 507K is a fair bit more. It's going to come down to two things. The first being that Holosun's 507 series optics are going to have their multiple reticle options. So you have just the dot if you wanted that. You have the dot with a circle around it, almost like a holographic sight type picture. And you have an option for just a circle. I'm not really sure who uses that, but it's an option on there as well if you wanted it. The 407 series is not going to have that. So it's just going to be the plain dot, which is honestly just fine with me. I've had a few of their 507 series optics, and while they're awesome and it's really cool to have, I don't find myself actually using any of the other reticle options other than just the dot. So it's kind of a waste of money for that feature alone. And then also with the 507K, Holosun's giving you a 2 MOA dot, whereas with the 407K that I have here, it's got a 6 MOA dot. And I got this one because I actually wanted the 6 MOA dot. I know a lot of people prefer the 2, but I'm going to explain why 6 might be better. The first thing being with the 6 MOA dot being a little bit larger, it makes it easier to find that dot when you press the gun out. As soon as you get your sight picture, you see that big glaring dot. It's not like a really small dot that could be hard to find in certain scenarios. It's a big, bold dot, and it's a lot more pronounced than the 2 MOA dot, so it makes it a little bit easier to find when you present the gun. The other thing is that when you're pressed out aiming at a target, the 2 MOA dot, because it's smaller, you notice a lot more of the micro jitters and the shakes in your hand, whereas with the 6 MOA dot, because it's bigger, it just kind of absorbs some of those micro jitters and shakes in your hand, so you don't notice the reticle shaking around quite as much as you would with the 2 MOA dot. Now, the downside that everyone's going to bring up with the 6 MOA dot is that it's not as precise when you're aiming out at farther distances. You can't get quite as accurate because it's a larger reticle. You can turn down the brightness a little bit, but it's not going to compensate quite the same. So that is a valid point, but what I find is at the distances most people are shooting pistols at anyways, the average person has never taken their pistol past 50 yards ever. I really don't think that 2 MOA dot versus 6 MOA dot is going to make a difference. If you're out at 100 yards or farther, yeah, you might probably notice a difference. Having the smaller dot makes it a little more precise, but at the 50 yards and in that most people are shooting, it's really not an issue. So that's why I went ahead and got the Holosun 407K. Now, what are my thoughts and what has my experience been using this optic for the last couple months? And I'm just going to say right off the bat, I'm not paid by Holosun or endorsed by Holosun in any way, shape, or form. They have no idea I'm making this video, but I have not found a single thing that I can complain about with this optic to date. It has performed perfectly. Everything is amazing. I chose the green reticle option just because I'm always a green reticle kind of person. I like the way it looks and feels and shoots and works better for my eyes. But I have not found a single problem with this optic. The glass is clear. There's little to no noticeable distortion. The controls are easy to use. Everything's been perfect. I've had no malfunctions, no issues, no problems with it turning off or not turning on or anything like that. Everything has run and functioned perfectly. It mounts very solidly and sturdily to the gun. I've done some racks where I rack the gun off of some object like a wall, and it seems to be holding the zero just fine. No matter how many times you press on that, it seems to hold it very well. Having this Holosun 407K on my Glock 43X has vastly improved my shooting and my accuracy. I can get much tighter groups. I can hit targets that are much smaller or at farther distances than I ever could previously with iron sights, and that's expected. Red dot sights are generally going to give you more accuracy, but this has been my best experience thus far with any red dot that I have tried. So if you have one of those guns that I mentioned previously, the Glock 43, the Glock 43X, the SIG P365, 365 XL, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, Shield Plus, any of those guns, any of those subcompact size guns, this is going to be one of, if not the best optic option that you can go with. I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's a better buy over the 507K, and I think the K series in general is a better buy over pretty much all the other micro red dot options, I guess is what you call it, out there. In my opinion, this is the best, hands down. Cannot recommend it enough. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you guys tried this optic as well? Do you like it just as much as me, or do you have problems that you're having? Or do you have a 507K, you like that better? Or is there another optic out that you think gives this a run for the money? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this going forward. And like the video, because that always helps the channel out a bunch. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.